Hey guys, welcome back to V&J Reviews. It's good to have you here with us. This is Vin.
And this is Joe.
On this episode, we are finally talking about the end of this arc known as the Tournament of Power. So what we want to do is take a look at what are the most likely scenarios to wrap up and end this entire arc. There have been so many different ways that this thing could end that have been thrown around. What will happen, what won't happen, what can't happen. So what we wanted to do was give to you really the top 10 and then an extra choice, which you'll see at the end, the top 10 ways we think this thing could end. And by the end of this video, you make the decision on which one you think is going to happen. So we're going to get right into this thing. Okay, so scenario number 1, to end off the fighting of the Tournament of Power, simply Goku masters Ultra Instinct. He completely gets it. He perfects it. Whatever form you want to call it or state you want to call it, he now can transform into it. He has the stamina, the attack, the defense ability, and he's going to take it to Jiren in Ultra Instinct and eventually overcome the foe that is Jiren to win the day out and end the fighting portion of this arc in the Tournament of Power as the victor, as Goku has now controlled Ultra Instinct. So that's choice number 1.
Yeah, and I can really see the writers going this way. This is what they have been trying to lead up to with Ultra Instinct. I mean, they even done some maybe promotional pictures that we've seen out there. So I can definitely see the writers maybe going that direction to really push Goku into this mastered Ultra Instinct.
And this brings us to scenario number 2, in which Jiren actually ends up winning the Tournament of Power, in the sense that none of the Universe 7 fighters, including Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and the likes, can take him out. They are utterly overwhelmed by his power. He defeats them, and he basically just fends them off the whole entire time. However, there are more Universe 7 fighters remaining in the tournament, which means that even though Jiren overwhelmed them with his power, Universe 7 ends up winning because they sort of scrap out at the end and actually have more fighters remaining than Universe 11, so they end up winning the day, even though Jiren was really considered the greatest fighter of the bunch. And we're also going to reveal scenario number 3, because it's very similar to scenario number 2, in which Jiren does the same thing. He overwhelms the Universe 7 fighters, but this time not only does he overwhelm them, he actually ends up defeating enough of them to the point where Universe 11 actually takes the win. And some people would say, how could this even happen? But you know what? Maybe they write in a way where it can happen with a wish or some sort of caveat that ends up occurring at the end where we still have Universe 7 remaining.
Yeah, Jiren obviously the strongest guy there, so I can see either one of these actually happening. Because if Goku and Vegeta are going to be fighting Jiren, they can maybe outlast him. I mean, that was Champa's hope for Hit to do for a little bit, so maybe that will be their plan to say, you know what, we have more people. We just need to outlast him. We don't need to win. I mean, it's a good plan. But Jiren, he is the strongest, so he could just take them out and say, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I just have to, it's the last minute, take everybody out. They win the Tournament of Power. Universe 11 gets the Super Dragon Balls, and we get to figure out really, what is Jiren's wish? Because they sort of hinted at that before with Toppo. So maybe they'll actually reveal what he actually wants to get from this whole tournament. I mean, it is a big mystery, and a lot of people do want to know.
Possible ending number 4, Vegito. Now, with this one, there's a lot that can go along with it. Now, we know a lot of people have their thoughts on Vegito, and when we say Vegito, we're talking about the fact that Goku and Vegeta fuse together with the Potara. Now, some people want them to go Gogeta. We're not going to get into the back and forth in that whole deal. What's more powerful, what's not. We know there's a lot on that. We're just going to say the two of them fuse together. Most likely, it would be the Potara because everything has lent itself and led towards the Potara being the way to go. Now, if they go Vegito, this opens up a lot of possibilities because we don't actually think they can beat Jiren with Vegito, even in the blue form. We don't think it's really possible. So either that will end with them possibly defusing if Jiren breaks their earrings or they use up too much energy, or they possibly go UI for a moment if they're able to, because Goku has sort of been in UI. So there would be some indications that Vegito could do the same thing, but maybe because it's so unstable, they're not able to stay in UI for that long, and they defuse that way. And then Goku ends up having to go Ultra Instinct himself, or they end up beating him in Ultra Instinct. So Vegito has a lot of different scenarios that can end up playing with it, including the fact that Vegeta would get some understanding of UI, because if he's fused with Goku and Vegito goes UI, then there's that aspect as well. So there's so many things that can play out with Vegito. Essentially, this scenario says in one way or another, Vegito is coming down the line.
Yeah, I personally like this a lot, Vegito scenario, because of all the possibilities with it. I know a lot of fans out there with the Gogeta are hoping for that, but to me, I don't see Vegeta doing the fusion dance. It's sort of like a comical type of thing to me to see Vegeta even go that far to do that. But Potara is just putting on earrings, and they already mentioned them, so I see that more coming out that way as well. But yep, I hope we do actually see a Vegito, and then it turns out that we still have to wait for Goku to learn Ultra Instinct a little bit further and Vegeta to go a little bit further with it as well, because I mean it just opens up the next arc, I think, better than anything else on that list.
Scenario number 5 is a fun one, probably the least likely of the last 4 to occur, but this is the fact that Goku and Frieza fuse together, making Froku,
making Goza
or Froku, and I prefer Froku because it just sounds funny to me. But anyway, the two of them fuse together, and this is just crazy. Now, obviously, this is the least likely to happen, but by far, to me, the most entertaining of the top 5.
I mean, I would be so surprised. Like, I'd be like, no way did they write in Frieza and Goku are going to fuse. I think I would be maybe the most excited out of all these scenarios that we've picked to see this. Like, this would be the one that would blow my mind and make me freak out. Like, oh my gosh, they actually did this. Who would have thought this was ever going to happen? This would be probably the biggest twist, easily the biggest twist of them all. But also, like Vin said, probably the least likely. I just don't see it actually happening. But it would be funny and pretty cool, personally, to me.
Possible ending number 6, Gohan. In whatever way, form, or fashion Gohan needs to, he finally breaks out of his shell and he takes ownership of himself, his fighting style, and his responsibility for his family, friends, and universe to, on his own, reach sort of this epic new state, whatever it's going to be, this perfected state. I mean, obviously mystic or whatever you want to call it. He's going to have to move far beyond what he's ever moved to before, but somehow he does it, and it just becomes this overwhelming situation where Gohan is now it, and he is going to be the guy who's going to end up out of nowhere taking Jiren out.
Yeah, I would like to actually see Gohan man up and become like this extra potential that we've always known him to see, because this was always portrayed from him from the very start, where he had this extra potential that makes him surpass everybody else. But we haven't really seen that much after Cell Saga, except for when he went Mystic, which was a very short amount of time and unfortunately didn't last too long. Gohan did state that he wanted to become more powerful in his own way while fighting Goku, so maybe he will find that way that nobody else is able to do, and he will become the strongest one out of everybody. I mean, it would be pretty cool.
Possible ending number 7, a tie, meaning Universe 7 and Universe 11, at the end of the day, they both last out the time limit, and they each have the same number of remaining fighters left on the platform, meaning a tie is held. Now, once the tie occurs, we don't know what will happen at that rate. I mean, possibly there could be sort of a sudden death type situation, maybe one fighter from each universe sort of a thing, which would be cool, which would extend this thing out a little bit further, or maybe Xeno will allow both universes to survive until the end, but one way or another, they just tie each other.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that the Grand Prix actually never mentioned rules on if there is a tie, because I mean there is easily a possibility that it could happen. So I find it interesting that it hasn't actually even been mentioned yet as a scenario, even though that they talked about all the different rules here. So I really do wonder which direction they would go with if there is a tie. If both universes live, who gets the Super Dragon Balls, what will happen with all that, because they have to figure that out somehow. I'm pretty sure they have a plan just in case if this does happen.
Scenario number 8, and this is one that a lot of people want to see. A lot of people have been waiting for this to happen for a long time, and it just seems like it never does. But this is a scenario in which Vegeta ascends to a new level, meaning he gets something new. Super Saiyan Blue 2, an Ultra Instinct, something, and he and Goku together now, working together, even though none of them have maybe perfected the form, but because they both have it, they can work together to defeat Jiren. I know a lot of people think that this is probably not going to happen, but there is a possibility that it still could. By the way, check out an upcoming video of Joe and I's on Vegeta, on why you should not put Vegeta away yet. There's still some hope in the upcoming arc still that we're in for Vegeta to do something here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Vegeta fan, and I just really want to see him do something in this tournament. It would be pretty sad if Vegeta in the end actually gets out and nothing happens with him. So him ascending to a God 2 form or actually getting Ultra Instinct would be wonderful. Would be like, finally, Vegeta gets to shine at this point. So I personally like the scenario that I want to happen, which is Vegeta coming out of his shell and just giving it to Jiren and him being the real hero in the end.
Scenario number 9, this is a sacrifice scenario, meaning that in one way or another, a Universe 7 fighter, we don't know who it is, they're going to end up having to sacrifice themselves, or maybe even a couple of members will have to end up sacrificing themselves to leave a couple of people on the platform who you wouldn't expect to sort of finish things out. But there's going to be a sacrifice coming up, a major sacrifice that will end up leading Jiren or Universe 11 to end up taking the loss here.
Yeah, I know a couple of you guys can think of different ways of how a sacrifice might actually happen. The only thing is, if they do sacrifice their lives, I mean, this is Dragon Ball where they have the Dragon Balls, so killing somebody isn't really that big of a thing too much. So I know that it won't impact sometimes people as much, but it might be surprising to see somebody who is like the strongest. Maybe even the most surprising to me would be Frieza if he somehow sacrificed himself to make sure that they won the Tournament of Power, obviously for his own reasons, but it would still actually be a nice surprise and a nice little twist there. So I can see them doing it in a cool way as well.
Possible ending number 10, and this is another one people have been wanting to see for a long time. The father-son fusion between Goku and Gohan. And of course, that fused state, you would take the G-O in Goku and the H-A-N in Gohan to make
Gohan.
No, that doesn't work. You would actually have to take the G-O in Gohan and the K-U in Goku to make
Goku.
Actually, that doesn't work, so we don't know what the name's going to be. It's going to be something completely...
Haku?
Maybe you flip things around for this one. But either way, you got to have these two fusing together, and this is what's going to be the fusion that's going to end up doing it. Not the Vegeta and Goku fusion, but the father-son fusion. And they're going to now, instead of separately taking out the enemy, together as one fused state, being able to overwhelm and take out Jiren.
Now, a fusion of these two would be pretty cool because knowing Potara Fusion, they might actually get a really strong boost here. They are father and son, so who knows how strong of a fusion these two could be. And also with Goku's blue form and then also mixed with Gohan's mystic form, who knows how strong of combining those two powers together they can be pushed. I mean, I feel like they might be even stronger than Vegeta in some ways if they fuse together because of just how maybe compatible they are compared to maybe Vegeta and Goku together. So I would be excited to see it and see how powerful and see if they can actually take down Jiren together. That would be pretty awesome.
I mean, truly, if they were really smart, the writers, they would end up having the final 4 people left in Universe 7 all fused together. I mean, so Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta and Frieza, right? Why not have 2? Because they have 2 pairs of Potara.
Yeah.
So they really should fuse together as many people as they can. I mean, it only makes sense, but That's not a scenario, by the way. The final scenario we have for you, scenario number 11, is really anything that we have not come up with yet. So this means something completely different than any of the previous 10 that have been mentioned that have nothing to do with the previous 10, which are completely separate. So that might be an idea that you have or something you foresee coming down the line that really hasn't been thought of yet. And of course, if you do have that, we want you to go ahead and leave that in the comments below. We're super interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this stuff. But other than that, go ahead for us. Pick one of the scenarios you see in the comments. Let us know which one you want to see happen or which one you think is going to happen. We're really interested in sort of getting a survey results here of the fans and seeing what everyone is really think is going to come down the line. Some of them obviously are much more likely to occur than others, but hey, you never know. Anything can happen. So we wanted to throw this episode at you guys because we are getting close. We are probably now months away, a few short months away from the end of this fighting. There's maybe, 12, 13 weeks or whatever, but it's coming down to the end here. It's getting close, so we figured we'd throw out this end of the Tournament of Power episode with these scenarios and see what you guys thought about them. So go ahead and leave a comment below. Of course, if you like this channel, you've been listening, coming along with us, and you enjoy the style, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click on those notifications. We really would enjoy having you along with us with the channel, and of course, like and share the video as well. We hope you enjoyed this one. This is Vinny.
And this is Joe.
As always, until next time.